Welcome to the Way of the Taibhsear podcast. This is episode 7, The Web of Wyrd. There's a massive iron and nickel core at the center of the Earth. This core rapidly rotates, generating electromagnetic energy. The center of the Earth, in other words, is a giant magnet. This magnet acts on the Earth itself. That's why we have a North Pole and a South Pole. The magnetic field generated by the Earth's core is also the reason for life itself. Without the protection of the Earth's magnetic field, we would all die from cosmic radiation poisoning. Science is only now beginning to understand the complex interplays of energy this magnetic field generates on and beneath the surface of the Earth. But there's evidence that our ancient ancestors understood and used these energies to their own benefit. These energies are called telluric energies, from the Latin tellus, meaning earth. The British amateur archaeologist Alfred Watkins created the concept of ley lines in 1921. He noticed that many of the sacred sites of the British Isles seemed to line up with each other. He called these straight lines ley lines because so many of the lines passed through places with variations of the word ley in their name. Places such as Wembley, Groveley, Abbotsleigh, etc., etc. He therefore concluded that these places were named according to these ley lines. Watkins theorized that ley lines were where the telluric energies of the Earth were particularly strong. Sacred sites were built along these lines to take advantage of those energies. In ancient mythologies from many cultures around the world, snakes and dragons represent these telluric energies. The Celtic horned god Cernunnos is sometimes depicted holding snakes, and he's also sometimes depicted with snakes in place of legs. Since snakes are equated with the telluric energies of the Earth, Cernunnos may be seen as creating and manipulating these telluric energies. Many other gods and goddesses have also been depicted holding snakes. By handling snakes, the gods and goddesses are weaving the energies of the Earth to create and to destroy. Likewise, a goal of the Way of the Taibhsear is to weave these energies to manifest change in our own lives and in the lives of others. Ultimately, these telluric energies are the source of all life on Earth. They are the life force itself. They are the Nert or the Noefra. As you spend time outdoors this week, see if you can detect any differences in the energies you sense from different locations. Do some places feel more right to you than others? How does the energy of each place manifest itself? How can you sense it with your body, with your mind, with your spirit? Try this the next time you're outside and see what results you get. In Norse mythology, the Web of Wyrd is the interconnecting web that binds all things together. The web binds both living and dead, animate and inanimate. The Web of Wyrd controls the universe and everything in it. It may even control other universes. Our own English word weird is derived from the term Wyrd. This is because the web of life contains all possible worlds, even the weird ones, into a single unity. One's own fate or destiny is also known as one's Wyrd. One's Wyrd is that which has been created by what is laid down in the past. So as you act in the present, you determine your destiny in the future by choosing which strands in the Web of Wyrd to follow and which to abandon. As you do so, you determine your own fate by choosing your own path. In Norse mythology, this Web of Wyrd is created and cared for by three crone goddesses called the Nornir, or the Norn, or the weaving women. They're roughly equivalent to the fates of Greek mythology. In Norse mythology, the three women's names are Urd, Verdani, and Skald. Urd is the oldest of the sisters, and she rules the past. Verdani is the middle sister and rules the present, and Skald, or Skald, is the youngest and presides over the future. The Nornir are a trio of old women who sit at spinning wheels, spinning the threads of life. These three weaving women, the Norn Sisters, bind and unbind the fabric of existence. Every action you take in your life is a strand of the web. When two actions or events meet, they provide you with two or more choices. Each choice you make determines how the tapestry of your own life will be woven. In this present moment, we can look back on the tapestry of our own past choices and greet our own past selves. We cannot, however, venture back into the past and unweave these choices. To do so would unravel the tapestry. We can only choose from this moment forward how our tapestry will be woven. We do this by the choices we make in the present. The whole tapestry of our lives is woven by our own choices, determining our own fate. It is our own Wyrd, a living, vibrant cloth made of the energy of our own choices. It links us to the web of life, or the Web of Wyrd. This web also has another name in Norse mythology. It is called Yggdrasil, the Tree of Life, or the World Tree. This World Tree consists of all the energy of all the creatures who have lived or who will ever live. This means that you can draw upon the wisdom of all life as you access the Web of Wyrd. To do so is to gain wisdom from animals as well as humans. Animal wisdom is the wisdom of our totem animals. A totem animal is an animal soul that functions as a teacher or a companion and a helper. Some consider the practice of taking a totem animal as a practice of drawing the archetypal energy of that animal into yourself. You may have more than one totem animal, but most people have a primary totem animal who serves as both familiar and helper. If you're a sports fan, you're no stranger to the fact that many professional sports teams are named after animals. There's the Chicago Bears, the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, Philadelphia Eagles, etc., etc. We also use animal names as terms of endearment. For example, Teddy Bear, or as nicknames, such as Richard the Lionhearted or King Arthur, whose name means the bear. This tendency is a vestige of a time when we lived closer to nature. We choose these nicknames because animals have a certain characteristic. In using these names for ourselves, our loved ones, and our sports teams, we are either consciously or unconsciously invoking the characteristics of those animals. If you have a favorite animal, have you ever stopped to think about why? What is it about that particular animal that attracts you? There's an almost universal tendency in some indigenous spirituality to take totem animals. Sometimes even whole tribes took on the name of a particular animal. The Wolf Clan of the Cherokee people is an example. Such connections with the animal world are important. But why are they important? Have you ever stopped to think about what this could mean? Think about your own favorite animal for a moment. You may have more than one. If that's the case, pick the first one that comes to mind. Picture that animal clearly in your imagination. What is that animal? What are its characteristics? How is it like you, and how is it different? In her book, Drawing Down the Moon, Margot Adler tells of an experience she had while catching fish barehanded. She wasn't having very much success and she was getting frustrated when a shaman friend asked her to think of the animals who are natural fishermen. Adler immediately thought of a bear. Her friend then advised her to become the bear. She pictured in her mind how bears caught fish, by scooping them and throwing them onto the bank. When she adopted the pose and the technique that the bears use to catch fish, she began catching them at a rapid rate. From mythology and legend, we are all familiar with people who transform themselves into animals. There's the werewolf, Dracula's ability to transform into the bat. There's legends about witches and Native Americans who had the power to shapeshift. Unfortunately, we seem to have taken those legends literally. What if they weren't about an actual physical transformation, but a transformation of the mind? If you could mentally transform yourself into an animal of your choosing, what would that look like? What could you do in such a frame of mind that you couldn't do as yourself? If you don't already have a totem animal, here's some ways of finding out what your totem animal is. Ask yourself the following questions and see if your totem animal reveals itself to you. Is there a particular animal that you find yourself drawn to? When you're alone in the woods, is there a certain animal that you find yourself looking for? What animal do you enjoy learning about? Does a particular animal keep showing up in your dreams? Have you ever been bitten, chased, or attacked by a particular animal, especially in your dreams? Do you collect paintings, statues, stuffed animals, or trinkets of a particular animal? If you've ever gone hiking, were you followed by a particular animal? If you're still uncertain about this after thinking about this list of things that we just read, then do a brief meditation before bedtime tonight and ask your totem animal to reveal itself to you. Make a note of your dreams that night. It may help to keep a notebook by the bed so that when you wake up first thing in the morning, you can write down any impressions that you may have had the night before. Did any animal show up? If not, keep doing a meditation and recording your dreams until your totem animal reveals itself to you. Could you draw on the power and energy from your totem animal to help you to succeed in your spirit journey as a Taibhsear? How? Spend this week communing with your totem animal. If you haven't selected one yet, or if one hasn't selected you, pay particular attention to your dreams this coming week. Are there any animals in your dreams? What might they be trying to tell you? Do you encounter any animals during your time spent in nature? Do they have a message for you? Shamanistic cultures throughout the world use animals as metaphors for emotions or as teaching tools. We even do this in our own culture. People can be as hungry as a bear, or as quiet as a mouse, or as gentle as a lamb. Animals and their traits are deeply rooted in our psychology. We tend to separate ourselves from nature and to forget that people are animals too. We are a part of nature, and we cannot change that no matter how much we might try to deny it. We even use animals in our research labs, from the white mice in the psychology lab to the often horrible conditions in animal testing labs. If humans don't have traits in common with their animal brothers and sisters, then why do we consider research on animals to be helpful at all to humans? As human animals, our psyches are rooted in the natural world. Each of us contains within us the archetypes of various animals. We instinctively know that snakes can be dangerous, just as we know that we have nothing to fear from the timid rabbit. When drawing upon animals as metaphors for our own personal lives, we can use the energy and the strength of these archetypes when seeking the imbus or the awen. Spend this week drawing upon the archetypal power of your totem animal. Experiment with how to access it. When is calling upon your totem most useful? When is it the least useful? If you look at the myths, legends, and stories of indigenous peoples throughout the world, you won't have to look far to find that animals are often used as teaching tools. Remember the Aesop's fables? Most of those parables involved animals. Likewise, many of our fairy tales, from Goldilocks and the Three Bears to the Three Little Pigs, involve animals. You don't have to be a shaman in order to use animals as teaching tools, or as tools of learning. You already have within you volumes of knowledge on animals and their characteristics. You can draw on these traits to create your own personal stories and legends. We understand the world through metaphor, and animal stories are just one of the many metaphors from nature that we may use on our own personal spiritual journeys. Watch the animals and learn from them. See what they have to teach you.
Softly to bed, my love. The fox is in her dell, my love. Hear the night wind sing, my love. Northern fires burn wild, my love. And in your heart you'll find white raven, black dove. your blue eyes see the white raven, black dove. Hush the spoken word, my love. The shades of eve run deep, my love. Patterns made by stars, my love. The river murmurs low, my love. In your heart you'll find the white raven, black dove. Let your blue eyes see the white raven, black dove. Sleep now, ancient child. 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 Sleep now, ancient child.
This week's activity is to create an animal totem mask based on the totem animal you selected. To begin this exercise, meditate for a while on the nature and character of your own journey. Think about why you seek the way of the Taibhsear and how your totem animal will help you along the path. Before creating your mask, answer the following questions. What is your true nature? Are you a lover, a warrior, a sage, a teacher, a trickster, a peacemaker, or something else? What word best describes who you are? What are the elements of nature that might reflect the nature of your true self? Are you patient like a mountain, strong like an oak, wise like an owl, playful like a coyote? What elements of nature best describe who you are? How might these elements of nature assist you in finding your way on the path of the Taibhsear? When you create your mask, how might you incorporate these elements into its design? Now that you have a good idea of which elements to incorporate into your mask, gather the materials to make it. Try to focus on natural materials as much as possible, using wood, feathers, twigs, leaves, leather, etc. Many Native American tribes use dried gourds for this purpose. If you don't have access to dried gourds, you might use a paper plate or paper mache. When you create your mask, hold the idea in mind that it is a representation of your true nature as a Taibhsear, the person you are in the process of becoming. As such, when finished, the mask should tell your own story in such a way that anyone looking at it would have a good idea of who you are. Over the coming week, create your mask. Once it's done, imagine an archaeologist digs up your mask 1,000 years in the future. What might he or she conclude about the person you wore it? Would the mask be a good representation of who you are? If you wish, you may take a photograph of your mask and send it to taibhsear.com, and we'll find a place to post it on the website.
As I was walking all alone, I heard two ravens cry and moan. One to the other did say, oh, where shall we go and dine today? Oh, where shall we go and dine today? Out behind that old high dike, I know there lies a murdered knight. No one knows that he lies there, oh, but his hawk and his hound and his lady fair, oh, his hawk and his hound and his lady fair. His hawk is to the hunting gone, his hound to bring the wildfowl home. His lady loves another night, oh, so we may make our meal tonight, oh, we may make our meal tonight. So you sit on his milk-white thigh, and I'll peck out his bonny blue eye. With a lock of his golden hair, oh, we'll fix our nest when it grows bare, oh, we'll fix our nest when it grows bare. Many a one for him they moan, but none shall know where he has gone, or his bones where they lie bare. Oh, the wind shall blow forevermore. Oh, the wind shall blow forevermore.
In the Way of the Taibhsear, we use the Celtic tree alphabet known as the Ogham. In this section of the podcast, we will present one character of the Ogham each week, offering information on the meaning of each letter of the Ogham alphabet, trees associated with each letter, the healing and magical properties of each tree, gods and goddesses associated with each tree and letter, and the divinatory meanings of each letter of the Ogham. Since we will be discussing medicinal uses of the plants in this segment of the podcast, please remember that herbal medicine requires caution and practice. None of the medicinal uses discussed on the Way of the Taibhsear podcast should be attempted by a novice. Some parts of the plants of the Ogham are poisonous, and people with allergies should also be aware of the potential allergic reactions to plants. If you are interested in herbal medicine, find a skilled practitioner and take lessons. Do not attempt to use medicinal plants without the supervision of an expert. The letter S of the Ogham alphabet is represented by Salya. It is the willow. The divinatory meaning of Salya is intuition, hidden knowledge, and introspection. Healing properties of the willow. Willow sap is effective in removing facial blemishes. The sap may also be used to treat dandruff. Willow bark is an effective painkiller as it contains the active ingredient in aspirin. Chewing the bark or making an infusion of it releases this healing power. The bark is also an astringent and may be rubbed on the joints to ease arthritis pain. The juice of the bark is also effective in treating heartburn and as a diuretic. Infusions from the bark may be used as a remedy for fevers, colds, and sinus infections. Magical uses of the willow. Willow is one of the 9 firewoods to be added to the Belfire for the festival of Beltane, or Belchenia, on May 1st. The 9 sacred woods of the Belfire are birch, oak, rowan, willow, hawthorn, hazel, apple, grapevine, and fir. Willows are the sacred trees of the moon goddess. It is the tree of dreaming, intuition, and deep emotions. Use willow for matters of creativity and fertility. Because its aspect is feminine, branches of the willow may also be used ceremonially for female rites of passage. Willows are linked with the powerful moon magic and with sexual energy of a feminine nature. The early spring festival of Imbolc is this tree's time to shine. It is the power of inspiration, love, divination, protection in matters of love, and healing, especially healing of an emotional kind. Since some willows can grow from a fallen willow branch, willow is also associated with the power of immortality. A wand made of willow can be used to draw down the moon, and witches' brooms are traditionally bound with a willow branch. Goddesses associated with this tree are Bloodyweth and Ariadne. This week we celebrate Veterans Day. Thanks in large part to the work done by the Lady Liberty League, pagan veterans may now be honored at Arlington and other military cemeteries with the symbol of their chosen faith. Founded in 1985 by Selena Fox and others from Circle Sanctuary, the Lady Liberty League is the religious freedom and civil rights support organization sponsored by Circle Sanctuary. Circle Sanctuary is an international Wiccan church and pagan resource center, headquartered in Wisconsin. The Lady Liberty League provides information and networking assistance to individuals and organizations concerned with religious freedom issues pertaining to Wiccan ways, paganism, and other forms of nature religions. Lady Liberty League members include specialists in a variety of focus areas, including public relations, countering harassment, employment issues, child custody issues, military affairs, law enforcement relations, legal affairs, interfaith relations, and scholar support. In honor of Veterans Day, especially in honor of our pagan brothers and sisters who have served our country selflessly, we at the Way of the Taibhsear thank you for your service. Rest your head, weary warrior. You have given the good fight. Two choices lay before you, silver branches in the night. You chose the path of wisdom, and the flame is burning bright. You did not yield. You did not falter. Cast your tears upon the water. Rest your head, weary warrior, and know the fight is won. light is growing dimmer, and a new one has begun. Many works completed, and many more were left undone. Never yield, never falter. Cast your tears upon the water. Rest your head, weary warrior, and put away your sword. You'll soon fulfill your duty to your lady and your lord. You chose the path of sacrifice. Come claim your last reward. You shall not yield. You shall not falter. Cast your tears upon the water. To begin this meditation on seeking the Awen, relax in a comfortable position. If it is possible to do this meditation outdoors, find a spot where you may sit or lie down for the duration of the meditation without being disturbed. When you are ready to begin, close your eyes and ground yourself by focusing on the sensation of your breathing. Feel your breath as it enters and leaves your body. Now center yourself by allowing all other thoughts to gently melt away, like snow touched by the sun. Now that you are grounded and centered, contemplate the life force that is the Nuevra. See it flowing within you and around you. Watch as this life force interacts with your own being, like ripples on the ocean. Feel the energy of the Nuevra as it feeds you, giving you life and consciousness. See the Nuevra as a river of energy flowing in and around all life, binding it together. This river of Nuevra contains both positive energies and negative energies. If you find yourself right now in a place where the negative energies are floating to the top, you don't have to swim in the river. You don't even have to stay in the river until you drown. Instead, you can consciously choose to get out of the river for a time. Sit on the riverbank and watch it flow by. The river is still flowing, but you are choosing for a time not to swim in it. As you sit on the riverbank, watch the river. What can the interplay of energies in the river teach you What energies do these currents and eddies bring forth? Now you are focusing only on the positive energies that you see in the river. As you watch the ripples, you come to realize that the river is a part of you, and you are a part of it. Both the negative and the positive nuevra are a part of you. Both the negative and the positive nuevra are a part of all life. Both the negative and the positive nuevra are necessary for all life to exist. Life and death are one in this great river of life. Just as an electrical current must flow from positive to negative, so are both forces of the nuevra necessary in order for life to exist. When the yin and the yang of the nuevra meet, there is the awen. When the forces of chaos and order meet, there is the awen. Where life and death meet at the gates of Avalon, there is the awen. When you come to this realization, enter the river of nuevra again and see the awen shimmering on the surface of the waters before you. Now ask yourself, what does the awen mean to you? What are the forces in your life that are seeking balance? How have you, or can you, seek the awen and attain that balance? Gaze into the ripples of the river of awen. See its shapes and colors dancing before you. As you watch, a shape begins to form in the ripples. This shape is the message the awen has for you today. Feel the shape taking form in the river before you and around you, entering into your being. Commune with this message from the awen for a time. When you are ready to leave the river, thank the Awen for the knowledge it has imparted to you today. Then climb out of the river to sit on a stone in the sun. Bask in the life energy that is the Nuevra. Bask in the life force that brings the Awen. To close this meditation, slowly leave the river and return to this world, taking the wisdom you have gained from the Awen. You've been listening to the Way of the Taibhsear podcast on International Pagan Radio, where it's all pagan all the time. This has been episode 7, The Web of Wyrd. Music on this episode featured Spirit of the Wolf by Shenka the Vate, White Raven Black Dove by Beneath the Oak, Twa Corbies by Dave the Bard, and Tears Upon the Water by Taibhsear. The Way of the Taibhsear is the official podcast of the Order of the Taibhsear. You can learn more about us at taibhsear.com. That's TAIBHSEAR.com. The Way of the Taibhsear is a podcast about Druidry and paganism as practiced by the Order of the Taibhsear. Paganism is a wide and diverse community, and we don't claim to speak for all pagans. You can get in touch with the show at podcast@taibhsear.com. That's podcast at TAIBHSEAR.com. The Way of the Taibhsear podcast is sponsored by Pagan Promotions. Learn more about Pagan Promotions at paganpromotions.com. Until next time, blessings of the ancestors.